Hey guys, this is Jared with Small Shopworks, and today I'm going to show you how I made this adjustable stool for the 2x4 challenge. So for those of you who don't know, the 2x4 challenge is simply a challenge thrown out there by the YouTube community, but for my particular case it was done by my local woodworking group, and I decided I wanted to make something that I found fairly useful that I needed in my shop. So here we go. My entire design was made up of 3/4 inch material. So I used my bandsaw to rip the 2x4 in half. Once the pieces had been resawn, I shortened a few of the boards using my miter saw. So I'd say that one of the areas of woodworking that I've really skimped on in the past has been buying nice blades like this one for my equipment, but after owning this fine-tooth blade for a bit, man, I realized that they are way more than worth the cost. The first thing I wanted to nail down for this project was making sure that the mechanics of the stool worked as it should. So I started with the pinions and gears first. I got these profiles from woodgears.ca. If you guys haven't seen Matthias' YouTube channel, you really need to check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. The next thing for me to do was to cut out the teeth of the gears. As you can see, these things are already ripped down to width and taped back together with double-sided tape. A word of warning here, don't cut the teeth and then try to resaw the gear. This is what I did the first go around. Let's just say things didn't go quite as planned. The saw grabbed and ripped a few of the teeth of the gear. It shook me up quite a bit, enough to have to go change my pants. No, but seriously, be careful here. So there's no secret here, I'm just using the file to fine-tune these profiles so that they mesh properly between the gears and the pinions. This will make sure that the stool adjusts up and down smoothly. Here I'm adjusting the cut height above my crosscut sled. That will set the depth of the dados for the half-lap joints that connect the vertical stabilizers to the main seat support. Now this would be way easier if you had a dado stack. You could do this that way, but I don't. So, use my crosscut sled here, kept it safe, and went back with the chisel. Next I went in and cleaned up the bottom of these joints with the chisel. The lapse in the video you just saw was because my chisel wasn't sharp. There's a bunch of videos online that'll show you just how to sharpen a chisel. I actually used this project to develop woodworking techniques that I had not used before, including a few types of joints like the half lap and the mortise and tenon, which you can see me laying out here. The ripping cut that I'm doing on the table saw will be for the bottom of the stool, so I'll actually stop short and finish the detail cut with the bandsaw in the next scene. Here I'm cutting the miters that will go on the feet as well as on the top of the seat. Then I drill a hole in the middle to punch out my mortise. I know this probably isn't the most traditional way, but I used my scroll saw because it seemed handy to get the rough shape of this mortise cut out. And it did a great job, so. And then I came back and cleaned everything up with my chisel. And I came back with my block clean and just cleaned up that bottom surface. I wanted to make sure I got a little finishing on these pieces before I glued everything together, because I knew once I did, it'd be much more difficult to get in here and do the sanding and everything like I needed to. Finally, it was time to glue the mortise and tenons together on the bottom. I just came back and I knocked this in with my little dead blow mallet. And then to ensure everything was square, I used square clamps and double checked that with my compound square. You can see down here that my son likes hanging out in the shop with me a lot, so he's often in there. I'm sure in the future you guys will be seeing more shots of him. He loves being in there with me, and as long as I'm not running power tools, I'm happy to have him in there checking things out, because that's how I learn, hanging out with my dad, doing things with him. So hopefully my kids will enjoy making stuff. My daughter already loves being in there, and hopefully it'll be something we can share in the future. Now here we go, I'm making these half laps. Like I said earlier, this would be a little easier if you had dado stack maybe, but this worked just fine for me, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It just needed a little cleanup with the chisel as you saw earlier, so I'm going to skip that here and go straight to gluing this together for you. I just inched up on everything and made sure that I kept everything nice and tight. And I was really happy with the way these things fit together. It was a nice snug fit. They needed a little hammering in, and you know, after having this thing together and been using it for a few weeks now, it's really held up quite well. These clamps just make sure nothing's going to move as everything's drying. Held up quite well. I was pretty happy with it. So here you see the main support here. I'm marking the centers for where the gears are going to connect to the bottom of the seat post. Now I'm pulling the legs apart that you saw me cut up earlier, and getting those ready to position on the base here. At this point, I got the stool clamp together to ensure that the gears on the seat posts mesh well with the pinion, the leg supports. I'm going to mark these locations so that I can glue them up right where they sit. So here's the glue up, and I'm using plenty of glue on either side. Nothing fancy here. Probably could have used to do some joinery, but really, because of the tolerances and how things are stacking up, I just glued these face to face here and just did a standard overlap joint. And you know, really so far it's been great. I haven't had any issues with anything coming apart and not being glued together properly, so I'm happy about that. Something I just picked up recently I didn't use here is actually you can put salt between these joints and keep them from sliding around. If you notice, when I clamp these up, they tend to want to scoot around on me. The part I'm working on here is actually gluing up the seat and getting those set in there. I just mitered the corners, and now I'm gluing the top together here. So it's really important here to get everything nice and square up and make sure that everything fit just properly. So I take my time using my combination square and slowly clamping these things together so they're not warping. And to add a little flair, I took these excess pieces that I had from cutting out the gears themselves and added some support to the bottom of the seat. I think this is actually a great addition. This is my adjustable bench using the wood gears and pinions. So you simply pull it out and plug it back in. Needs a little fine tuning to get everything adjusted just perfectly,
but yeah, once you get it set, everything locks in nice and tight, and you can just sit on it. So the thing handles really well. It's got 3 feet for my uneven garage floor, and really happy with it. So 1 2x4 used and a little bit of scrap left over, so not too bad. Definitely some improvements needed, but not too bad for a first start. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit that like button down there. Give me a thumbs up. Check out more of my videos. I got one here posted for you guys to check out. I'm slowly trying to grow my channel, so if you'd like to stay tuned to what I'm doing and what I got going on here, please hit the subscribe button right here, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks. Bye.